Watch for when it pops up here.
Yeah, the mic is on in the phone.
All right, we're live. Pops up here. All right, backseaters, we're back live. It's Monday, and it's Monday with Mike, and Mike has a special guest today, Brett with one T, by the way, or if, as I call him, B-Rat. I call him Brett, and then he says, "My name's B-Rat," just like Malibu's Most Wanted. He and I worked together at Minneapolis for many, many years, the Minneapolis PD, and he retired just before I did, and bounces back and forth on his world tour of Texas and Minnesota and everything in between, and somewhat adjacent. So Brett retired as a lieutenant with the Minneapolis Police Department. He worked with me on the north side, did a ton of work over his career in on the street on the north side, in the juvenile unit as a sergeant, then as a lieutenant in the juvenile unit.
Yep.
Or did you go somewhere in between?
I had child abuse unit for about
right.
18 months, 2 years, something like that, before I went back to juvenile.
All right. And then when I went up to the north side, he came shortly after up to the north side, and had tremendous relationships with the community up there, and really helped us work together to solve a lot of issues. So Brett and I are really good friends, and he's up here enjoying the beautiful weather because it's just too hot and dry in Texas, apparently.
Yes, it is.
And so we're gonna ride along here. For those of you who are new to the Live on Patrol live stream, about 3 years ago, the Sheriff Bob Fletcher of Ramsey County in Minnesota decided he wanted to start live streaming his patrols, and he started going out on Friday nights. Then his old partner from the St. Paul PD, who now works for us, Pat Scott, joined him on Friday nights. Pat's a deputy in our CAT team and Intel unit. Actually in the Intel unit, but he does a lot of work with the CAT team. And they started live streaming, then they expanded to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So every Monday I go out. It's Monday afternoons with Mike, or Mighty Mike. I don't know where that came from. Some days I feel mighty. Then on Wednesdays, the young members of the carjacking and auto theft team come out, and a couple of them will ride together and live stream. And then on Friday nights at 9/11, it's Sheriff Fletcher, Bob, and Pat, and they generally go from about 9/11 until 9 and 11 minutes, not 9 or 11 p.m. 9 o'clock till about 2 or 3 in the morning. And I've had the pleasure the last 2 Friday nights of, or actually 2 Fridays ago I did, but then the younger guys took over this Friday night for a while, and I was out to support them, but not much was going on. We had a really bad storm here, and A lot of hail damage to people's cars and houses.
So
So now we're out. We're going to get on East 694 from Lexington. We're in the city of Arden Hills. Just leaving the patrol station up here. And it's been raining all day, so there hasn't been a lot going on. There was just a house fire in St. Paul where some elderly people were in the house. I'm hoping they got them out safely. I heard a lot of people were commenting about Pat cutting off the end of his finger on Friday. Some guys will do anything to get out of coming to work. But Pat I heard he was at his house playing Master Chef or Top Chef. And he was nice enough to send us a picture of his finger on Friday. But my understanding is he got bandaged up and he's recovering from that. So we're on eastbound 694. Trying to think of what else. Today's just been super quiet other than car accidents because of the weather. So hopefully now that the rain's slowing down, that'll get better. Brett, did you have people that are watching that you want to say hi to?
Yeah, I got a few people. Let's see here. Let's pull it up. Okay, there's my son John and his buddies. My daughter Brandy and her friends.
Shouldn't John be at work?
Oh, he's probably watching it at his computer at
Let's
work.
see, how many monitors? Does he have like 4 monitors? I mean, he's an engineer, so...
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen his workstation. Anyways, then there's the wife Roxanne and my sister-in-law Barb and Dan G and all my old Northside partners and John P and Brenda, Nancy, Marge, Sandy, and everybody at the Blue Waters Campground.
Wow, that's quite a list.
Yep. They all love it.
And we were talking about Dan earlier. Dan worked with us on the north side, worked more with Brett.
Yep.
Before I was up there, but I knew Dan really well. Great guy.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that he's doing well. And fun guy to be around.
Yeah. Dan was interesting.
Hey, here's the sad part now about law enforcement is those characters that we worked with. Yeah, you can't be a character like that anymore.
Yeah, no.
Nowadays, you get axed and on probation or whatever if you exhibit any kind of real character.
Yeah, that's true. Dan was a great teacher and a great partner, and he's just a great man. So.
We were just talking the other day about how a few of us were talking about when we first started in police work. There were a lot of Vietnam vets that were in police work, and they didn't tend to be the more touchy-feely kind.
No.
Most of them, but we learned a lot from them, and we certainly learned discipline and chain of command and where we sat on the totem pole.
Yes, we did. We learned that quick. Dan was 2 tours in Vietnam.
Yeah, great guy. We were talking about, I see Neil Stuber still.
Oh, really?
At Lifetime Fitness. He comes there every day.
Wow.
He walks around, and so we were talking about him the other day. Bruce Cohen is there every day too.
Oh, yeah.
And some of our old time guys. Neil, I don't know how old Neil is, but it's pushing 100.
Yes. Yes,
I don't
probably.
know. I mean,
Probably.
I mean, he was old and kind of scary when I first came on, and he's still hasn't changed
Do you remember Dave Rodriguez?
Yeah.
He lives
sure.
he lives like about 13 to 15 miles from where I live down in Texas.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sure.
We've had supper with him and his wife a couple of times.
If I remember right, wasn't he an Army paratrooper?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I think he's got the paratrooper
Yep.
symbol tattooed on his arm.
I think you're right.
He worked in the gang unit.
Yeah, he did.
With me for quite a while.
Yeah.
Good guy. So things are a little different now.
Oh yeah.
It's but you know, in a lot of ways it's better.
Yeah.
You know, I look back and you know, we didn't do a lot of you and I did, but as a police department we didn't do a lot of good community engagement.
No.
At that time, and we were all about the enforcement of the law.
Yeah.
And so
we were pretty lucky in a lot of ways when it came to that community engagement stuff. We had some pretty good mentors, and they gave us some opportunities, and it was interesting. You know, you and I worked with Southeast Asian community for many years, and that was Chief Locks.
yeah,
Asked me to do that and mentored me on it, and it was very very rewarding. Bob Fletcher, Sheriff Fletcher, he was working on the same kind of deal over here with the Southeast Asian communities when I was over in Minneapolis. That's how I got to know him.
right. Yep. And that's really how I got to know him better as well. And he still has tremendous relationships with the Southeast Asian community as well as the Somali community that he started developing when he took a leave from being the sheriff for a while. As I'll say, he got beat in the sheriff's race, but he committed to continuing the great work he had done with the Hmong community, and we're still doing a lot of work in the Somali community as well as the Hmong community. And I still run into a lot of the people that we developed relationships with.
Yeah.
And actually, this past weekend, I ran into a Vietnamese kid that was on the other side of the law when we were back working on them. He was a member of the Minneapolis boys.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't recognize him at first, but he recognized me.
Yeah.
And said hi and wanted me to know he was doing better, wasn't involved in criminal activity anymore. And he was involved in a very sophisticated check fraud.
Oh, man, it was
back in the day.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about when you see a 16-year-old kid driving a new Porsche.
Yeah.
That tells you something's wrong. So.
Well, and one time, it was before I retired. I was at the Hennepin County Courthouse getting my license tabs renewed, and I was sitting in line, and this Hmong kid who I didn't recognize come up to said, "Are you Officer Lindback?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he said that I had arrested him when I was a sergeant in the juvenile unit, and he wanted to let me know that he turned his life around. He was married, he had a kid, and was no longer involved in that gang life. And I thought that was really great. You don't often get that feedback on a case that you worked on.
No, every once in a while I'll run into someone who we used to chase around, and they've grown up and they got a good job and have kids, and it's awesome to talk to him and to see him looking healthy and looking better and, not all stressed out from the gang lifestyle. We got a couple of them working for us now over here, one of whom I chased around when he was young. He'll tell you that the only thing I ever saw of him was his heels and elbows running away from me, but not necessarily true. But he's really turned his life around, which it's fun to see.
Yeah.
Those guys can make a huge difference in the lives of some of these young kids out here.
No.
So
yeah, it was that what drew me to working on gangs and stuff was they were all so young. They really didn't have anybody to show them the way, and then they get hooked up with these guys that show them the wrong way.
Right. So we're gonna go eastbound here on Maryland from 35E. I'm gonna change my channel on my radio here, just in case. We are monitoring 3 St. Paul PD channels, 3 county channels, some talk around channels, as well as statewide and metro-wide channels. And it really is that slow right now. There's not much going on the radio, but I think they tell me that's a good thing. This is the east side of St. Paul. It's some of these areas tend to be the busier areas in St. Paul, but they're also neighborhoods that have a lot of tradition.
Yeah. Blue collar people live over here.
Yep, a lot of hard working people. So I don't know if the CAT team, the carjacking and auto theft team, is working a case right now. So I don't know if they'll be out and about a little bit this afternoon.
2273.
Hopefully so.
Go to PIC, clarified.
Minneapolis had a rough weekend. Friday night they had a officer shot in the arm, back and arm, as he was following a robbery suspect vehicle and was waiting for other squads to come and help him stop the vehicle, and they shot at him with a fully automatic weapon. And thank God he was treated and released at the hospital Friday night and into early Saturday morning. And so
did they have a homicide then that weekend also on the north side?
Yeah, there was a homicide. Well, I'm trying to think on the north side if they did.
Well,
there was definitely
in
one
Minneapolis.
downtown.
Yeah, Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis, there was one at 15th and Nicollet.
Yeah, that's the one.
And there was another one on the south side at, I think, 28th and 12th or 13th, where somebody shot into a crowd at a party. I don't know if it was a party or a concert. It was some kind of punk rock event. I didn't even know that was a thing anymore. Unfortunately, multiple people were hit. One was killed. It was a busy weekend for them over there. They just they need more cops. They need to have a push, and it's gotta be from the mayor and the city council down.
Yeah.
To hire and to support the officers that are out there doing this hard work. And
yeah, I can't imagine running shifts like with so few people that they have now. It's just in Minneapolis, it's unbelievable.
it really is. I remember we used to have 12, 14, 16 people in a roll call on Midwatch on the north side, and now there's they'll have roll calls with 4 officers, I hear. And we spend a lot of time in Minneapolis looking for stolen cars and tracking stolen cars. And I can tell you don't see squads out like you used to. And it's really unfortunate. There's so many good people there.
Yeah.
I know one of them, Buzzy Bone, is watching us right now. And because she commented earlier. She was fun to work with on the north side.
Squad 304. 303. And a request for 304 to check the messages.
So we're still eastbound on Maryland, passing the BCA, our Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. It's our statewide investigative team, as well as our they do a lot of the crime lab DNA, fingerprints, processing evidence. They also investigate officer-involved critical incidents, shootings, accidents, and they do a tremendous job over there. Some of our intel people were over there meeting with them today about how we can work with them to better enhance intelligence across the state. Guys were teasing me the other day because I told them that I missed my Crown Vics that we used to drive all the time.
And they were the best.
They were.
Nothing like calling an officer needs help call and hearing that Crown Vic downshifting as it's roaring down the road to come and help you. Nothing like it.
No, nothing at all. You could hear it from a mile away. And they were just flat out fun to drive.
Yep.
And yeah, they were rear wheel drive, but we knew exactly where we were going to slide.
Yes.
How to do it, and may have accidentally done it, or I mean purposely done it every once in a while. So
the ones in Minneapolis, when they come back from the front end alignment shop, you had to run them into a curb because they just weren't right.
Exactly. I told someone a little while ago that we used to carry white shoe polish so we could cover up the scuffs and the white paint.
Yes.
On the bumpers especially.
Yeah. Yes.
So. So I'm getting, if you can hear my phone going off, we have a couple of cases, and I'm getting updates on those cases as they go along. Nothing that I can obviously talk about, but if people only knew how hard our folks work on these cases, and 24 hours a day with the phones going off and pings coming in from, if we're tracking a vehicle, for example, or a phone, and somebody's got to be watching them. Hopefully the rain's slowing down a little bit now. I'm just kind of checking the busy areas where we see these cars flying around, and then I'll start checking some individual hot spots.
Were you working? You were working Minneapolis when they had that hotspot thing, that experiment.
Yes. Yep.
They wanted to know if a squad parked in an intersection would move crime. They got whoever was running the thing got big money to run that investigation.
And to say that yes, it does make a difference. Yeah. Well, it's like, really, I hate to use the term I was just thinking in my head, but it's like, really, no lie, if the cops are there or squad's there, there's less likely to be crime there. And then all of a sudden we got all these people who, decided they could come up with a fancier idea, none of which is proven to work.
Yeah.
The reality is you have to work with the community,
Yep.
decide what their issues are in their particular community, help them solve those problems, and then hold the ground once you have it. And unfortunately what happens is we solve a problem and then we step back and
Yep.
let the problem come back in. And they decide, well, we could do that in a way without enforcing the law, without, we don't need police, well, the problem is, I recommend not doing this unless you have a bullet. We're in drive down Broadway Avenue on the north side right now, especially after dark, and tell me that you don't need the police there to do some proactive law enforcement.
It's so sad because we worked so hard on Broadway. I mean, we put a lot of resources when we were on the north side, and we pretty much had it cleaned up. That was
we did. It was so nice, and working with the community, working with Becky Boland and I forget the name of the church that was Ascension Church. Thanks.
Yeah.
On like 18th and Bryant.
Yeah.
And we did a ton of work, and it made a huge difference in the livability of that area. And but then you get a chief in there who doesn't have the same commitment.
Yeah.
And look where we're at now.
Yeah.
It's just sad. The Eco Village area.
Can't imagine what
boy,
that
was
like
fun, but it's bad up there now.
Yeah.
And especially on the corner of Lowry and Lindale. And all that hard work, all that money invested, the partnering with Habitat for Humanity and the Hawthorne neighborhood, and all of that can slip downhill right away if you don't maintain it. It's just...
Yeah, and once you have those community relationships, when you back off because somebody says the priorities have changed, then it's gone, and it's going to be tougher to get it back.
Well, and you get in new leadership who thinks they all have better ideas.
Right.
Because they went to some school out east, or they read a report that said that if you do X, then people are going to love the police. Well, let me tell you what, we've been trying X's for a long time now, and it's not working. It's the reality is you have to maintain law and order. Otherwise, you can't have development.
Right. And working with the community isn't easy, and they're gonna tax you, and they're going to challenge you, and you know, it's easy just ignore that and just do what, you know, do the patrol and not pay attention to what the community wants.
Right. And it's easy to do the little superficial things that don't make any long-term difference. Have a little cookout in the neighborhood. You know, hand out bike helmets to kids.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to denigrate that.
There's nothing
program.
wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with that as long as you do the basics first.
Yeah.
But it's like putting a $5,000 radio in a $1,000 car.
Yeah.
You can't. You got to have the basic foundation first. And you know, I saw it happen, and part of it is you go from you have to rely on respected leaders within the department, because as you know, and I'm not trying to toot our own horns, but if our troops didn't respect us, they wouldn't have done all the things that we asked them to do that are hard. It's hard to, you know, meet with citizens and have them be skeptical of what you do. And it's hard to do some of the stuff that's not fun and sexy and exciting.
It's not all car chases and bad guys. Sometimes it's taking the time with just Joe average citizen to make sure he understands what's going on. Make sure you understand what he believes is going on.
Right. Well, just
GLC 2442 Ray Street, Unit 8 Alpha. Callers requesting intoxicated friend be removed from the address. There's a party in the background saying that the caller's the one that's name of the KC Road 920 of 60.
If something does happen on the radio that's important, we will shut up and let you listen to it. And, just so you know, but it's really quiet. We're on 3rd Street now. We're going westbound at Kennard. I keep telling people, Brett, that I'm gonna start making up stories about how they named some of the streets over here in St. Paul.
I have no clue.
Some of them make no sense too.
Well,
I mean,
I'm a geeky white boy from South Minneapolis, so St. Paul doesn't make much sense to me, period.
No. I mean, I tell people it's pretty easy when they say you're going to 32nd Street and 4th Avenue South.
Yeah.
Right? You can picture in your mind right where that is, but you better think you got to get to know the streets over here, because a lot of them don't even make sense. They don't even pronounce them right. Like Maria Street is Mariah Street.
Yeah.
How did that happen? It's a nice looking Nova, huh?
Yeah. Remember that guy that got all pissed at me and made a complaint, but in the dash cam video shows him showing me his whole car, opening up the trunk and telling me about what he was doing to the car and where he's. But I was really mean to him, and I yelled at him, and it's like, what?
It didn't happen. That's the beauty of the
Dash cam.
dash cams, body cams. I do every once in a while have to remember that the body cam's on when I'm at a scene with all the young guys and they're and I decide to start smoking and joking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all pointing at their body cams to remind me, watch it.
4446 traffic.
Okay.
So
There's some conversations that we had with some of the gang kids and different kids out on the street that probably wouldn't go over well on a body cam, and we're not even talking bad stuff, just smoking and joking with them.
Yeah. It's good though, as it always was after we got the in-car cameras at Minneapolis. 99% of the time it backs what the officer says happened and refutes the false accusation, so that's good.
Yeah, no, it was good, but
180.
yeah, there's some fun conversations that you'd have that probably wouldn't I don't know. I was going to say look right, but that's not. But probably cause people to go, huh?
Yeah.
4246.
And if there's a call at the PD for a theft from auto, I'm on scene.
Because I got out before body cams.
Yeah, there is.
What I mean, if you're talking to somebody and you want to talk to them confidential about something, that I mean, is there a way to flag that so it doesn't get released?
Yeah, you can turn it off. You can turn it off. You just have to explain that you're turning it off, and then you have to note that in your
log
when you're classifying it in the system. Yeah,
okay.
It's really a log of your body cam.
Okay.
Or if you're discussing tactics, like
Right.
you have a house surrounded and you're meeting to talk about, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? You can turn off the body cam. But then generally, if you're going to take action, then you turn it back on.
Yeah. I just remember all the times you'd stop somebody and all of a sudden it turned into something that you wouldn't want everybody to know he was telling you or she was telling you
Right,
about.
yeah. People are more reluctant to talk to us
I bet.
now because of the body cams, I think, but a lot of people are still very cooperative that way.
Yeah. I remember when I was still working the street, I had some TV crew riding with me, and I made sure I knew how to turn the mic off. Because so I jumped out and I was talking to this guy that was kind of an informant, and I turned the mic off, and then I get back to the car and I turn it, and the guy says, "Your mic's off. What happened?" I said, "I turned it off."
Yep.
4446, go for it.
Book one, stop. Freeze.
I'm trying to think. There was a incident that occurred last week, and I was there, and
Squad 363.
one of the officers said, "Hey, is it okay if I turn my body cam off while we talk?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just us two. We're not involving the subject of the stop." I can't even remember what it was, but it was reasonable. You just have to be able to articulate why you didn't have it on or turned it off. I forget to turn it on because I'm not used to it.
Yeah. No, I that would be, I think, the problem with it is once you get used to it, it's, not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just like you said, if you start acting goofy, that's on tape forever.
Yeah. Well, and now most of the, well,
Hence why we don't have characters anymore on the police department.
yep.
Looks like the sun's trying to come out.
So for those of you who just turned in, retired Lieutenant Brett Lindback from the Minneapolis Police Department is riding with me. He and I worked together over there for many years, and he has since moved full-time to Texas. But, oh, we dropped you. Oh, I gotta pull in here. You're watching the delayed version of it. I don't know why it fell, because it's not hot. Oh well.
281. 282 of traffic.
Sorry, hopefully no one got a concussion from that or got dizzy.
What ticket you want?
I'm gonna hop back on westbound Maryland here, and we'll head over. We'll go down Payne maybe, and then over to Central.
You see that Vietnamese soup pho shop? Is that Vietnamese restaurant on University? That one Village something? Is that still going?
Village Walk.
No.
Or are you
something
thinking of
Village.
Kim's?
No, Kim's. I know that's
Oh,
gone.
on University.
Yeah. It was something.
My Village.
My Village. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still something there, but I don't think it's the same.
Same owners.
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
We're gonna go down Arcade. No, but I heard Liaison reopen.
Really?
Yeah.
On Central?
On Broadway.
On Broadway. Oh. Huh.
Yeah, Kim's on Central closed.
Oh, that's right. She was on Broadway there, Northeast. So the same spot, or?
Yeah, same spot.
Oh wow.
I heard it's open. I'm gonna have to check that out. It's hard though to go to Minneapolis for
Yeah, I know.
Vietnamese food or Asian food when you're over here.
No.
There's so many options.
Oh yeah, then yeah, I wouldn't. There was a lot of good Asian food places over there.
I see
But-
someone
but-
blame the potholes on the you falling on your head again. I don't know if it's the potholes. I actually do have a new mount. I just think this sticky
Was 16 on the medical.
Mount
Canada,
things.
2995 Caroline Court. Some 62-year-old female is laying on the bed. She's not moving. It's unknown if she's breathing. Her caller's a neighbor. They're just seeing it her from the window.
That's not good.
No.
Somewhere in the area. 668.
668.
Of course, back to the food. I remember FTO of mine said the cop. There's three things a cop never does: never be wet, and I'm trying to remember what the third one was.
Wasn't it tired? Hungry, wet, or tired?
Yeah, I can't remember, but
I just remember hungry and wet.
yeah, we don't.
Nope.
We have lunch all set up.
Yeah.
5 to 7 years old, wearing a nice brace.
I'm gonna pull over here for a sec. I think we're losing the. It's not looking right.
Monday for and 1254, looks like
Hopefully it'll refocus here and the thread will come back to normal.
we're
I wonder if any of these guys watching want to fill out an IOD form.
They should. That would be injured on duty form.
147166.
Say I was riding along as a backseater and he dropped me on my head. I don't know why it's looking so grainy right now, but trust me, it's not that grainy. Now that the rain has pretty much stopped, it should start to get a little busier, I hope. I heard many of you were talking about Pat cutting off the end of his finger the other day. It did happen. I saw proof of it.
5955.
And
a call for a medical at Roseville in altered state. It's a female who's fell the line disconnected.
Looks on my weather app. It looks like the radar shows the rain has moved south of us.
oh, good. It's good to have a meteorologist in the car that we can hold accountable.
I said, looks
If it
like.
does right. Oh, yeah, you did. So we are, I'd call it southbound on Payne from Minnehaha, Edgerton area. And I say I'd call it southbound because it's probably more kind of southeast.
We're driving past Swede Hollow.
We are driving by Swede Hollow, named after
Swedes?
Swedish people.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
it was St. Paul's very own ghetto.
it was where the Swedish people, new immigrants, lived in there. Kind of a ravine, and it's now a biking trail.
Can you advise Rachel see if we can force this door? Give permission to force this door.
Bruce Vento was a teacher at my junior high school in Minneapolis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which junior high did you go to?
Nokomis.
Nokomis. All right, and then you went to
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. Go Teddies.
Yep. 50th reunion was last year.
50th.
Yep.
You're not that old.
No, I'm not.
No. Was your dad's 50th? I know better. So we're on East 7th right now. And I'm going to cut back up here in a little bit.
I'll be clear for regions.
Did that pizza place that was down here, forget the name, close it?
Yeah,
The good one?
Red Savoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one closed. They still have different franchises open in the city. There's a few of them, but the main one here closed. It is now, my understanding is it's a homeless drop-in center, or at least that's what the plan was for it. So it's been kind of shut down here for a while.
Copy inside in Caroline Court.
We're going to go up Lafayette here to University.
Six three.
University into the Central District. We're right by the Union Gospel Mission.
Thank you.
Looks better now.
Yeah, the picture looks better now. Anyway, next time I see Pat, I can't wait to ask him to give me a high 4. So, or 4.5. Pat, if you're watching, don't laugh. It'll probably hurt.
Larry says that there's a sit-down Savoy in Hugo, Minnesota.
Oh.
Wow, I'll have to check that out. We're staying up by Lindstrom in the summer, so.
I know there's one over off of Snelling. There's one off White Bear Avenue. I'm trying to think of where else I've seen them. I don't know, but every time I see one, it makes my mouth water.
Tom Evans, one of my old partners, just texted me and said hi to Mike and I.
Hey Tom, how you doing?
Picking up you.
Long time no see. Trying to think of the last time I would have seen you.
I'd be able to grab you the license plate.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah, it has.
Copy. Picking you.
Oops.
We are right by the Minnesota State Capitol. And on University going westbound.
3-4. Hit and run vehicle. If their license plate's going to be Minnesota Kilo Tango Lima.
Now I got people that are watching this that want to set up a date for dinner or lunch at the Savoy in Hugo.
See, now you know how it feels to be
Wow.
on the live feed. We might have to do like a meet and greet.
Yeah, that
or
would be
something.
fun.
But I always tell people, it's my little joke, that our state capital is among the top 2 or 3 in the state.
2 or 3.
It's actually the best looking state capital in the country, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'd have to say that Texas one's pretty impressive too.
One tonight.
Yeah,
Unknown is 134.
I've never seen that one. I'll take your word for it.
But your vehicle engraving matches the description of the vehicle.
So we're on Rice Street. As always, it's busy. Little busy thoroughfare here.
St. Paul have like a Native American kind of center, like they have like in Little Earth over in.
Not really. No, there's not a an area like that, like the Little Earth townhomes in Minneapolis. It's, I think the Native American community over here is much smaller.
Okay.
I mean, they're here, but it's not a concentrated area like that
Right.
was over there.
Now be showing you around Tobacco 134 University and Chancellor and 134 129 ABD will be related to yours.
So they're talking about an APD. It's an accident with property damage, meaning no one's hurt, but it was a hit and run. And the bad guy or gal's car, the license plate fell off it. And that's never good when you're trying to flee from a crime.
That might be what we call a clue.
It's a clue, that's for sure. So we're gonna go westbound on Front and then drop down into Frogtown. Unless something happens in the meantime.
What's your name?
Do we know how Frogtown got its name?
Absolutely, we know.
I don't either.
Because it was all swamps. And so
Maybe that's it.
it was swampy and they called it Frogtown. I know I had to research it because I brought it up one day. And then I got lots of weird guesses.
I thought maybe the French were there first or something.
Well, I heard that. That was one of the things I heard.
Fortune, I'll be what's on the before.
Appreciate on for discussion at this time.
Western.
The description is going to be a black male, 5'4", wearing blue jeans and a black shirt.
Copy. Black male, 5'4", black shirt, blue jeans.
So we're going to go south into Frogtown. We'll look for the suspect that fled from the car. If we see him, 5'4", black male, blue jeans and a plaid shirt. That's like every hipster.
And like the black shorts and the white t-shirt back in the day on the north side. That was the
Yeah.
description of everybody.
Yeah.
2262, 2268.
2262.
I don't know, we're getting delayed on our
585 Bucher, ensure you on a domestic.
comments, so we can't read your comments in real
That
time
her daughter's been getting herself
for some reason.
Brandon Kohler. Daughter's a Tiffany Kohler, so both parties are heavy drinkers and drug users. In the past, the male has used bats as a weapon. There's also pulled a knife on Whitey kids in the past.
Omar said.
Unknown description at this time. Along the road, yeah.
I'm gonna pull over here on Thomas in a minute and see if we can't get the comments going again. Half the fun of going live is seeing people's comments.
Wouldn't have known about the Savoy and Hugo if it wouldn't have been for the comments.
Right?
Yeah, right. Did you see that message earlier today regarding this address? I did not. I'll check back. I don't think I deleted it. They did an intervention and they had dispatch put it out that just in case someone called, that's what they were doing with a bunch of people from Hazleton.
Now it
So
seems
I'm
to be
guessing,
working.
based on the
All right, it
experience,
looks
that
like it's
they're
working
just
now.
calling because they couldn't get it through to them. So I'm guessing they're just going to call to see
if we can do anything since they were unable to. So I don't think this is something that's in progress, other than the fact that they're...
You know, the comments are working when Stormy's in there chatting with people.
I'll get the call back to you.
Stormy's like an OG backseater.
Yeah,
What would you call him, an OB?
Oh,
Original backseater, OB.
Yeah. OB. OBS.
Ooh, OBS. That sounds, isn't that like a disease or
Well,
something?
it could be
Like IBS.
maybe a doctor or a specialty in a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
OBS.
I'm a doctor of BS, but I don't know about the O part. So we're in the area where this male fled from a traffic accident, but there's enough of a time delay that he's probably ducked in somewhere, but we'll see.
Well, Lisa liked OBS.
All right, good. That's as long as we can entertain one person. Then the shift has been worth it.
Yeah. Oh.
Somebody asked me the other day, and I gotta find the actual real answer to this, so I'm not a lawyer, so don't take my legal advice, but if you can have 2 ounces of weed in your car, right? Legally now, which is a good amount for personal use.
Yeah, it is.
Should last you a little while.
Yeah.
So let's say there's 3 people in the car. Does that mean you can have 6 ounces? Like 2 each?
Huh. Yeah.
I don't know.
Didn't have to worry about that back in the day.
I know. So, it's a good question. We'll get the answer. Probably there'll be a lot of online attorneys here that will may respond, but I think there's going to be a lot of interesting situations that they haven't thought about, the legislature didn't think about. I know that the conflict with federal laws is one of them. I actually was talking to a gun dealer this weekend, and they asked about somebody who came in to buy a gun, but then they smelled like weed. So federally, if you're a user of narcotics, you can't buy a gun or possess a gun, but state-wise, you can.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So
and again,
their question was, do we have to sell them the gun?
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I think they're asking the wrong person. They need to ask ATF.
I said, gee, you gotta consult with someone who knows more. But it's gonna be a lot of those little questions, like if we stop somebody who has a gun on them, but they're a chronic drug user, it's not gonna be
Go for 2268.
illegal state-wise, but it is still illegal federally. So some of that stuff's going to have to get worked out over time.
Well, that's the state legislatures. They always pass laws with unintended consequences or without having a clue of how it's going to be practically applied in the real world.
Right. So it's hard to Hard to tell how some of that's going to wash out, but I think, for the most part, a lot of that stuff's going to end up not being enforced right away until there's some clarification. Second here, I gotta pull over and read a text, otherwise I'd probably run into somebody.
Dustin, car to car.
Alright.
Stand by, I'm gonna hold with the crisis call.
I gotta hold on here. That's gonna be a whole conversation, so I'll have it after I'm done. I hate to mute you guys. So we're still in the Frogtown. Lots of little frogs area. I felt bad. I was mowing my lawn yesterday and it got really long because I put some new sod down and there were little frogs jumping everywhere out of it. And
survival of the fittest, buddy.
I don't know if they were, moving fast enough. It's hard to tell when you're riding that old mower.
Domestic Bucher, talk to the cop.
Yeah.
No active assault going on right now, as far as she knows.
So we're eastbound on Thomas. We're at Milton now. People seem to be coming out of their homes, but it's still not very busy.
Billy's Victorian Bar. Bet you them walls could talk, they'd tell you some stories.
Oh yeah, all these old bars down here. Can tell you some stories. You got Willard's down here, you got the Nickel Joint.
Nickel,
You
that's
got
What's tonight?
Fun with tonight.
You think these
Check the CCTV.
I'm looking for?
So they're asking for a TZD car, which is 0 deaths. It's a state grant that focuses on enforcement of careless driving, wrecking, and driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And we have DUI car that's funded through TZD right now. That's the car that Alex Graham's on now at patrol.
Tom Evans is checking in. He says his dad owned a bar on Victoria and Thomas for 25 years.
Oh, that's the one we just saw.
Yeah, cool.
4-3. What? This driver just gonna look at the.
I just got a text from some guy that is in our campground saying Rick, who said I redeemed myself from last year because I forgot to mention the whole crew at the campground.
Oh,
God, long memories.
hey, crew at the campground. Lighten up, you're on the radar now. All right, you got your shout out.
You're welcome.
It's good for another year, right?
I hope.
Or not.
I hope.
Do they expire?
I hope.
I don't know.
They're a great group of people.
That's
the
good.
campground.
That's good. Well, and they invest their time in watching Live on Patrol, so I mean,
How bad could they be?
how bad could they possibly be?
281.
Wait,
So we're on Minnehaha now. I almost said Como. Heading eastbound.
They still have that big Hmong soccer tournament in the summers up
Yep.
there, Como?
Yep, they still have it, the Hmong Sports Festival.
check channel 1 for CC.
They had it this year over the 4th of July weekend.
Okay.
And then they have, they have soccer and football, volleyball, kata,
Yeah.
or there's another name for it now.
Oh. Probably because it's too hard for us to wait people to pronounce the real name.
Actually, the new name's harder, I think. But then they have had a couple nights of after parties.
Any real problems?
Thank you.
No problems. A lot of drunk people, though. Hold on just a sec. I'm going to mute you. So our super secret people are out and about and asked that I make sure that I'm not scanning a channel that they're going to be on. So I appreciate that because I don't want to divulge anything that might screw up an investigation or a or cause a danger to the officers involved. So, and we tend to always have
134.
one of our
But it says no if it was occupied times 1 or by multiple people at least.
hold on just a second.
Someone got out of the vehicle and it left pretty quick. Got me here.
So anyway, we generally talk when we're doing investigations and following people or whatever on encrypted channels, and it wouldn't do much good to have it be encrypted and then I'm broadcasting it on a live stream. So our element of surprise is very important.
You showed me an animal complaint
Speed of action, element of surprise, and
We're going to be looking for
reasonable amount of force.
I was
I
going to
think
say.
it's supposed to be overwhelming.
That's what I would thought. But
or something, but we.
well, that's the Army. That it's
That's-
overwhelming
yeah.
force.
That's special ops or something. So.
we're like north of the Capitol here, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're on Penn and Rice, Pennsylvania and Rice.
Oh, there it is.
There's little Susie. The back seaters have met little Susie before. Spends a lot of time out here.
29 Dunlop Street, South Borough, Wilford. Check employee did a no show for work. Has been heard from.
A lot of potholes, so if you're shaking right now, it's because there are a lot of potholes. But we'll be out of that here soon. Just driving by the Minnesota Transportation Museum, which is actually a train museum. Little known fact here in St. Paul. Hello to whoever that was that waved at us. All 5 fingers, so it must be a backseater.
Everyone for 3. Love you. 1526.
We're back over to the east side here. There's just hardly anything pending. I mean, there's things, but nothing good. Parking complaints, disorderly conducts.
For a male standing in the middle of the street, the color please possibly thinking I'm narcotic. Black male, 45 years old, wearing a jacket.
Easy.
1527.
This ain't gonna happen. So I'm looking at if there's anything exciting that we could do.
Heavy, during your riding, 15.
So some people told me they were worried because they hadn't seen Pat in a while, or Bob. I think they were worried that there'd been a coup of some sort. And that, you know, it's like North Korea when you don't see the supreme leader there for a while.
Assume he's dead. Somebody else has taken over.
Yeah, well, that's not the case. They're both alive and well. And we'll definitely be back, but it's good for them to take a break and get a little bit of time off with their families and friends, and that'll be me next week. So we're on Payne Avenue. We're going northbound.
Wait, one.
I don't have any active stolens for us to look for. We just have to find stolens. It was crazy over the weekend with stolens going back and forth. Just because it's a Kia doesn't mean it's stolen. Okay. but we can always check.
The caller can still
With-
hear scream.
The car's literally going back and forth on both sides of the river and all over the suburbs and into Wisconsin.
What's the address?
But there were also a lot of good arrests.
Can you check with St. Paul, see if they have a Spanish interpreter working?
Spanish speakers on channel 3.
373. I can head there when I'm done with this call in like a few minutes.
Okay.
Cat teams out and about doing their thing. There's another Kia. So,
after riding with you last year, every time I see a Kia now, it's a whole different thought
Yeah.
process.
I know, well, you gotta look and see if windows are broken or anything.
2260 Prospect.
3932, 3935. 32.
935.
2305 14th Avenue East on a PIC. Male patient's being violent, needs to go back to treatment. The suspect is currently locked in a room with staff and throwing items, swearing and yelling. Subject is a white male, 35 years old, 6'1", average build, wearing a gray shirt, black cap.
So we're westbound on Maryland now at Westminster, crossing over again into the central district.
3566 for emergency traffic.
625, we can clear the main. We lost eyes on it.
Copy. Pursuing overtax on the South Main. 1530.
Well, that was a statewide channel, and it sounded like somebody
Hennepin is removing the patch with the type 1 at 1530.
in Hennepin was either chasing a car or spotted a stolen, but then they lost it right away. So
Back to 3 and 10.
1533. Western 6 and West A5.
32. 82.
ooh,
2687.
what are the odds?
They lived in
Did you start that?
Nope,
Oh, okay.
not yet.
Usually it's catchy. So we're just crossing Jackson back in the central district, and then we're gonna go north on Rice. So if you're a bad guy, you might want to leave that area. Not really sure why I publicize it, but I'm guessing that they're too busy to watch. Street Northwest at the community center on a disorderly male that threw a
water bottle at the comp's vehicle. Comp's waiting in a black Jeep. Both parties are in the parking lot. Suspect's standing near a blue Chrysler minivan.
Surprised.
The
Usually
white male
there are a
waiting for you.
lot of kids out
Wearing
playing
a black
soccer on
striped
that
shirt.
field. I don't know if it's the weather or it's just a little early. But
Is it above or below or in the same level as this floor?
Copy, sir.
City 35, still driving.
1535.
so we're north on Rice. We're approaching Arlington here in a little bit, passing Ivy.
Three one zero. 310.
Can you, 310 is left.
04.
City 293.
Check a parking lot up here where we've had some stolens recovered.
Copy, check the first floor.
And as you said, it's a clue if you recover stolen cars in a parking lot that the suspect may live in here.
It's probably not too big a jump.
230 and 233, we're checking
No.
the second floor.
Copy.
Pretty secure. Gonna go with these, look pretty good. That little scooter's getting a wash in there.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, good. We're getting hot off the press. Stolen Kia. I gotta back up here first, though, and pay
Open 271
attention
are
so
not
I
finding
don't
anything on the fourth floor. We're moving up.
cause any problems,
Copy, moving up to the
which could happen.
251 on the second, 7. 523.
These apartments are primarily Karen people.
Korean?
Karen.
Korean. Oh, okay.
Yep, living in these apartments, and the apartments on the other side there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That population's really grown here.
We're here on the 5th floor. We're not going to open our doors today.
Let's see what we got.
Copy, yes, 239.
230, we didn't find anything on the second floor. We're here with maintenance. They didn't hear anything as well. 230 and 233 will be checking third floor.
Copy.
So right now we have a stolen blue Kia
240, what was
2022,
the comp's apartment number again?
light blue, David Zebra Mary 494. David Zebra Mary 494. If you see that one, call 911. It's stolen within the last couple hours,
4752.
and it's possibly in the South St. Paul area.
We were able to work through our language barrier here for the most part. 373 isn't close by. They can probably cancel. Thank you, though. 373, clear.
Copy, thank you.
think you jinxed it. See where this motor vehicle theft is.
Swedes Hollow?
Sweet Hollow, baby.
On the one birthday. En route to the LEC with the double mail. 1540.
Randolph.
Oh, south of, way south.
Yeah.
We're not finding anything on the third floor either.
Copy negative results on first floor.
523, we spoke to First Minute before.
Copy of 1541.
277, we're knocking on a few doors on the 6th floor. But as of now, we're not finding anything on the 6th.
EBQ and blues.
Yeah, it's actually it's primarily now just a Latino
Huh.
parties, concerts on the weekends.
Huh.
There, do you remember Vanandy's?
What?
Vanandy's in the 3rd precinct? That might have
Oh,
been.
yeah.
That's the same.
Huh.
It's kind of the same atmosphere. It's the cowboy,
Oh, yeah, the
Mexican,
vaqueros.
the vaqueros. It's where the lamplighter used to be, but now it's Korean and Nepali foods.
Hmm.
If you're ever sitting at home going, I'm craving some Nepali right now, I don't know what it would be.
Me either.
I can assume it's similar, but
Probably maybe a
they'd
little
probably
closer.
trick me.
Probably a little closer to Indian food, maybe.
It could be. They'd probably trick me if I went there, though. They'd sell me hot dogs because I didn't know any better, you know.
Remember those picnics for the Southeast Asian communities? That who was it? No, not Hormel. Who was it that gave all those hot dogs?
They call console 28.
I don't remember.
And Schweiger, and they bring Hmong, Vietnamese, and Lao food, and we'd be stuffing ourselves on that food, and they'd be eating the hot dogs. It was like that was not a good
They're
trade-off.
eating the American food, the true American food. I do remember when I got
medical and
promoted.
qualities in Shoreview. There's a customer that fell and is having hip pain.
When I got promoted to lieutenant, and I went down to the 3rd precinct, and that was in February of '99, and in May was the first open house week.
Yep.
Officer, what was it? Officer Memorial Week, but that's when they would have open houses.
Right,
And,
yep.
and
Police week.
thank you, Police Week. I was in charge of getting the food for the open house, and I bought hot dogs and didn't even realize that they were pork hot dogs, and the Hmong people couldn't eat them. I mean, the Somali people
Right,
couldn't
yep.
eat them. right, I'm back. Sorry about the muting. Trust me, you'd be bored if you knew what we were talking about. But I just didn't know for sure because of who called me, so I muted you. So we're southbound on Rice now. We're passing Dar's Double Scoop. Highly recommend the ice cream there if you get a chance. And of course, Mama's Pizza here, but you can't dine in there anymore. Ever since the pandemic, now it's takeout only.
Huh.
But the food's just as good as it was. Been a busy area lately. Homicide down here and another shooting incident. It's unfortunately, this area attracts a lot of people who just hang out, and they're not hanging out to do good stuff for the community.
Updates by call is that the vehicle is currently at Union Rise for an air tag. They have several checks. They're following out with the Comcast, the PSG.
So we're just checking another area where we've recovered a lot of stolens lately. Yes, Brad, I will run the plate on this Kia. But for some reason, that one looks familiar to me.
It's got the pine scented thing on the mirror. I don't think anybody'd steal that one.
The Felony Forest.
Yeah.
New message.
I always laugh because
New
they
message.
thought that hid the smell of the marijuana, but
I don't.
the reality is then it smelled like pine-scented marijuana.
That's right.
So that one's clear. Yeah, when they would have like 10 of those little tree air fresheners, we called it the Felony Forest.
Yep.
The party impression is very cool and collected, so we're just trying to figure out what's going on, but we are controlled.
Start a petition that all of the money that the state makes from legalized marijuana from the taxes should go to fix these roads.
They just use the money that they got now for fixing the roads. They could fix them, but they got to build all sorts of useless stuff.
Yeah.
Go for it. 15.
Yes.
What cemetery is this?
Park. I think it's called Park, or no, Oakland Cemetery. It's on Park, Oakland Cemetery. We got to double check the sign.
Yep, Oakland.
Oh, good. It's a test.
my aunt had me going to graveyards, so now I find it somewhat interesting, especially when you find one that's got an old section to go in and look and see at the old, like you'll be surprised, like around that 1916 Spanish flu, all the kids that are buried. It's just interesting.
I believe it.
There's one old cemetery down in Texas near Mahia that's got a bunch of old Confederate soldiers buried there.
Oh, really?
For a fire call, 1102 Front Road to David. Fire alarm
Well,
is
you
for the
remember
whole
the
building,
Pioneer
multiple fires.
Cemetery on
Maybe
Lake
it's like
and
having a
Cedar?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was an interesting one to
Yeah, I've never been in
check
that
out.
one. I should.
Oh, you should go look. Most of the good. The interesting headstones are closer up to Lake Street.
Right.
We get stolen. Right now we're just tracking the air tag. Still at Rice and Uni as of 6 minutes.
Nice.
Although I had to move, so maybe they threw it out of the car. And on my way back to the PSG, I have to check in that area.
We were just there.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go back over that way. So we're getting info that a stolen car might be in the area of Rice and University. So we're gonna go over that way.
Thomas M says that Mike just smoke a lot of weed and you won't even notice the potholes.
I'm telling you, you're probably right. However, in no uncertain terms, we've been told that it's not legalized for cops. So we can't be carrying a gun and enforcing the law and be high as a kite.
Group of kids driving erratically. 1553.
Someone said Oakland Cemetery is the oldest in Minnesota.
Oh, wow. Cool.
There we are. Probably not the safest spot, but at least they're changing their tire. So we're going to be looking for this blue, whatever it is, Kia Sportage, was it? Let me double check. Blue Kia Sportage, Dog Zebra Mary 494, or David Zebra Mary. Or Delta Zulu
5329 from
What color was it again?
blue,
Blue.
light blue.
Good mark is GOA 522.
So
521, actually leave it open, so I'm not going to 226 in the house.
It says Hungry's birthday today.
whose birthday?
It says AKA Hungry. I don't know if it's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Jerome. I think, or
Hi, everyone. 531.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this is related to the call that we're currently on, but there's a call attending at 285th Street about a male and a female arguing in the back alley, and the male is accusing the female of taking his keys.
Copy. Why don't you just send it to me? I'll check it out.
Copy at 1556.
The description: white male and a black female.
Affirmative.
Yeah, do that into this. This is remaining. Resolved.
Copy, they're in that alley behind Big River.
Copy.
So we're checking the area for this stolen Kia, and that was running around over here. We'll see if we can find it.
What, 232. Any updates of the location? Yep.
370 on 2, there's no updates. Just an air tag left in the area around 10 minutes ago. I'm guessing maybe they passed out of the vehicle.
So they found an air tag that was in that car and threw it out, it sounds like.
Huh.
So the car might not be in the area anymore.
Huh.
Oh well. Technology is a tremendous tool when it's available.
Yeah.
When it's not, then we just go back to good old-fashioned police work, driving around and looking.
Van will be 4178, and it'll be a private tow. Copy. I'll put it in the call, but you might have to switch to data.
One of the people at our campground grew up at Lyndale and Broadway. She lived at the house just 1 or 2 south of the Broadway liquor outlet.
Uh-huh.
She's like, she's a little younger than me, but she's talked about the Gamble's Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, yeah.
What a lifesaver it was.
Yeah, it really is. Remember when they put the pool in there?
Yeah.
And then, I can't remember if I heard that they closed the pool now, or I know the YMCA up there, they've closed. On the north side off of Broadway.
Yep.
And like what?
It was up towards like 2nd Logan up there, wasn't it? Up
yeah. That way. They've just I read an article that the YMCA is trying to focus less on athletic stuff and more on helping kids.
Well, okay, can't you do both?
Well, yes, you can.
With money, they arrived on scene that they're requesting for PD.
It's unfortunate because
you're going to focus out of the north side?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Part of it is there's today 30 million in grants are being released by the state, so you can apply to do community crime prevention, public safety stuff, which, you know, it's going to be a lot of organizations that are going to be looking for a cut of that.
Switching gears.
Yeah. So we better switch our gears.
Yeah.
And now we're going to focus on.
Yeah, you don't look at problems and then try funding for that.
Right. Well,
you find the funding and then you try to find the problem.
Then you try to, you know, most of these organizations, they rely on a relationship with police departments, the ones that are effective.
Right, yeah.
Because we're the ones who know who the kids are that are at risk.
Right.
And, but a lot of them think they can be successful and work with kids, and then they just attract kids that are already involved in positive things, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
But they're not reaching the kids that really need to be reached.
Yeah, I remember talking to a bunch of nonprofits when I ran the juvenile unit about, you know, they'd come in and talk about they want to work with first-time offenders. Well, statistically, first-time offenders are winners because most of them don't reoffend again once they have that contact. And so, you know, and one of the things I seen was you get these calls from parents saying my kid's, you know, out of control, blah blah blah, but he hasn't done anything criminal, and there's nothing the police department can do about it. But I always felt that if these guys pick up the ball, and a nonprofit picked up the ball and was kind of be what I called the mother's backbone, and, you know, let her know she's doing right, work with the kid and her on skills to stay out of trouble and do well in school and all that other stuff, that you know, that you wouldn't have to worry about that first time offender, you know, or as many first time offenders.
Yeah. And it's
back 30 Hazelwood Street North, and a disorderly group of juveniles refusing to leave.
The hard part's always the
20 years old.
The more hardcore, you know, repeat offenders.
Yeah.
And they're not easy to deal with.
No.
Not everybody can do it, and you know
and it, you know, it because there's really not a lot they can do between that for the second time offender and maybe the fourth or fifth time offender, other than probation and a few programs that are out there. So, you know, if the probation works, you know, great, but it doesn't work on everybody.
Right, and I think the probations, you know, they're really limited in what they can do.
Oh, they do great work.
And the options that they have.
Right, they do great work, but they only have so many tools.
Right.
It'll be 680. I will change it to a parking spot for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the YMCA is it's a good organization. I just think they, you know, and I agree with somebody posted about them not being, you know, designed for adult fitness centers. I agree. But they should be youth fitness
Yeah, they
and
shouldn't get
health
out of
centers.
sports altogether. You know,
No. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how you get the kids in.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But
It's kind of like the Boys and Girls Club. We've met so many people during our career that grew up, what they say grew up in the clubs where they were there every day, blah blah blah, and they turned out to be successful people, and then they turn around and either give back to the Boys and Girls Club as adults or go to work for Boys and Girls Clubs as adults, and that's where you have to work with these kids early. But the part of it is that most of these kids that I seen when I was involved with my whole career revolved around juveniles and stuff like that. They just don't have any direction, and that's where like the Boys and Girls Club comes in. And
Right.
if the YMC wants to duplicate that, then I don't, maybe they should partner with the Boys and Girls Club.
yeah, or focus on it in different areas
Correct.
where there aren't Boys and Girls Clubs or whatever. But there's going to be a ton of duplication of efforts coming up, and
Oh God, yeah.
1607.
Yeah, when you got that kind of money, that it ends up you got 4 nonprofits chasing the same group of same problem.
Right. Well, it's going to be 30
Yeah,
nonprofits chasing the same problem, and most of which don't even know who the kids are
yeah,
they should be working with, and they're not willing to work with the police, so they'll never know what the kids are up
right.
to
And when you
on
get
the street.
when you get that big of money, it's hard to hold track and hold that money accountable for outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened
680 or 690?
in the Office of Neighborhood Safety over in Minneapolis.
Did you go to 4?
They got a ton of money to reduce crime, and but with little accountability, and
Yeah.
guess what? Crime just kept getting worse. And if you're gonna do group violence intervention, or community violence intervention is what they want to call it now,
Right.
then you can't do it light. You got to go all the way,
Yeah.
and it's got to be the enforcement part of it. It has to be, focused on.
Yeah, violence prevention. And doesn't. Well, you and I've had this conversation a lot of times. You can cut the head off a snake, but in the crime area, it just grows back. If you can stop the feed at the bottom, that's where you're going to have your success and get in preventing violence. You can go out on the street, and your little whatever group, and maybe deter something from happening there, but it's a temporary solution. It's not a long-term solution.
Right.
And again, it's not easily done, and it's not sexy.
No, it's very heavy lifting. Most people can't do it.
4452, I'll be out with them.
Copy. 1610.
Scott 277.
277.
going to be to assist another agency over at 1296 Pleasant Avenue. Just a recovered property. Cottage Grove assault was unoccupied stolen. Requesting for officers to respond routine.
Captain Rowe.
Do they say they want 4 officers to respond to unoccupied stolen?
I'm trying to find that call. That didn't sound right.
4446, copy, clear.
6-2.
Everything's overkill now.
Yeah.
Partly because it has to be.
Yeah, 4446, how are you taking?
Yeah.
So northbound on Rice Street here, entering the city of Little Canada. It's one of our contract cities. And
Changes go to a welfare check.
thought I'd head up this way and see if there's anything going on. Squads. I don't know where that I'm not seeing that call at all. And I didn't hear originally where it was, so
Yeah, I didn't either.
So I don't want to air the information, but that air tag's moving again. So maybe they didn't throw it out. So that's good.
We'll be checking 920 Earl in relation.
Okay.
Tobacco 180 with 106 to copy. It's going to be a university in Prior for suspicious. I have a possible DIC mail. He's stating that somebody has a firearm and has been threatening him with it. We're trying to grab more.
176. What did you say about that?
Just one assistant officer assigned.
6, I copy.
Received, thank you. And 168, 176, I copy that you're going to be backing up 180 at 6 inwards. Describe 168, you can be correct.
168, copy, 10 here.
1614.
Five, 3-2.
Squad 532.
5, you can actually cancel.
2752, clear guys.
15. 50, squad 680, you're clear.
680 with copy. You can send us 223 on Arundel Street.
Dispatch copy 6015.
It's like a
Squad
little
180.
mini farmer's market.
That
I'll have you meet your cop over at 702 prior. He's saying that there's a red SUV that's on the scene and he saw a firearm, one firearm.
I'm gonna go down here by our water patrol station. Let's see what's up down here.
6860.
How big is your water patrol unit?
There are probably 6 assigned full-time, but then there are a couple of part-time deputies as well as reserves that fill it out. So I'm guessing, if you had everybody in, it would be 20, 25.
Oh, okay.
So all the boats are in there or out. They're probably out on the lakes right now. Lakes and rivers. Mississippi River's probably our most challenging spot. Putting up a fence here and redoing this parking lot, so trying to make it a little more secure.
Five 2-3, I'll take your welfare check.
We're showing you around 239 Robert Street at the Met Council for a welfare check with the male fast and force near the road. Black male, late 26.
Retired Lieutenant Brett Lindback is riding with me. Retired from the Minneapolis Police Department, a friend of mine for many years.
Yeah, we go all the way back. You were an officer and I was a sergeant. Remember, I think the first time we met was we were working that Lao gang case where the guy was trying to sell a gun to a CI.
Yeah, yep. That probably was the first time we met. And we got the guns.
Yep.
Got the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you asked me to be the liaison to the Lao community.
Yeah.
For the Southeast Asian Community Leaders and Minneapolis Police Officers Forum, which is a super long title.
And the community picked that name, not the police department.
And I learned a lot through that process. Worked several homicides and
I don't want to hang up 500 4th Avenue.
Couple dozen shootings.
Were you involved with that when those Lao gang members killed those El Salvadorians out in Richfield? Did you have any piece of that? That was fascinating. It was.
Yeah, it was an interesting case.
Yeah.
It was a soccer tournament. I don't know if it was a tournament as much as a game.
Yeah.
And there was the fight, and then the Lao guys fired into the crowd.
And actually, the bad guy, the shooter, turned out to be a Vietnamese kid from California that was here. His dad lived over in Highland, and he was here visiting. And we got him at the Minneapolis bus depot picking up his girlfriend that came in from Cali. And it was a week-long, just full blast investigation.
It was interesting though.
Yeah, it was.
We learned a lot culturally. We learned how See how easy it is to kind of trip over yourself if you don't understand cultural issues.
Yeah. That one officer from Richfield brought in that loud dad parent in handcuffs. And you asked him to just go pick him up. Didn't explain to him what, so he just cuffs him up and brings him in, and it took like about an hour to talk this guy down from being so disrespected,
Yeah.
And it, turned out his son wasn't really involved even. He knew some of the people, but he wasn't there, so it was just a bad deal all the way around.
5 and 168.
175. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Man down in the medium.
that was an interesting case, yeah. And that's the one that I think finally got me to commit to being involved.
Yeah, probably. We were probably setting it up a time, yeah.
273.
And I learned how understanding cultural differences can really make a difference in a case, but also in your relationships with the community and how you treat people. And
yeah, doesn't cost you anything to be respectful of another culture, and you still get to the same place you want to be.
Right. Yeah, no, it worked. Worked for me. Learned a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Gave us some really good contacts in the communities. We're able to get more than one person to turn himself in.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yep.
Because of those relationships, or be able to work with families of victims and suspects.
You remember that one case where the dad and mom brought the gun up to the 4th Northside Precinct in a box and tried to give it to somebody up there, and the desk guy just blew him off. And so I can't remember, did they get a hold of you through the Lao thing or something? But we ended up serving a search warrant on the house and finding the gun.
Yeah, that was yes.
That was just a cluster.
I'm just going to say yes on that one. But a lot of those things were clusters just due to lack of communication,
absolutely,
and understanding, but
the parents really weren't very couldn't speak English very well, if at all. And it was it was just, it all worked out in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. We solved a lot of crimes, got a lot of guns off the street, and I think developed a lot of trust with the community, and averted a lot of issues because of the relationships that we had.
Yeah. When Chris Tayson was shot over here, a lot of those relationships really paid off. Yeah.
Deputy Chris Tayson was shot trying to apprehend Hmong gang member who was a murderer and shooting suspect, and
he must be retired now.
Tayson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Long time ago. He's got a restaurant now.
Oh, he does?
I guess in Oakdale. And I wish I knew the name of it, but it's something Wok. It's like rice bowls and stuff like that. He, trying to remember the name of the kid that shot him. And we were on that kid for weeks leading up to that. Was involved in that 6 people shot in Columbia Heights at Pool Hall.
Yeah.
And,
weren't they Tibetans?
They were Tibetans, yep. And what else? He had pointed a gun at his girlfriend's mom, and that's how we kind of got onto him. Then they did a robbery in Eau Claire where they shot the clerk.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Shot her 3 times, and she lived.
Yeah, they were.
And then I was put out info on his car and did a search warrant and recovered a bunch of evidence related to that.
I mean, they were like out of control on a tear for a couple of weeks there. I mean, it just they were all over Wisconsin and Minnesota.
They were MODs.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep driving up and down Rice Street, but this is where the stolen was in the area, so we'll keep looking for it. Probably go for another half hour or so. I got a family commitment after that. Yeah, it's amazing what a difference you can make when you develop those long-term relationships with the community.
Well, I mean, for you and I, it started when we were patrol officers. We'd stop and talk to kids that were on our beat and get to know who they were and who they were affiliated with.
I'm going to stop this young lady. Let's see what's up with her.
She's in a hurry.
She's apparently in a hurry. Such a hurry that she wants to run into a squad car.
Yeah.
And make me do what? Hours of paperwork?
Yeah, what's that?
About 360. But 613 Jessamine. I let the caller, let's stay there. It's now messed out, acting violent. Took a swing at the cop. Hispanic male, 35, 5'3", 180, no shirt, jeans. did come out with a knife that went back into the house.
Yep.
Well, I explained to her that she needed to be a little more careful. I guarantee you she wasn't paying attention. She was looking at her phone instead of watching the road. But she was a nice lady. So I highly recommend being nice when the police pull you over. It just seems to work out a lot better. They still haven't taken the report on that. Little does he know the real Batman's in the car with me.
That we started doing that kind of stuff, connecting with people on our beats when we were schlepping the squad around. You know, that's when it started, and it was hard to get other people convinced that that was important. You know, other cops. It just was.
Well, it is, but they didn't realize how much more effective we were when we had those relationships.
Yeah.
If you could say to a kid, "Hey, I know your mom."
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, or you know,
more than one time when I had a couple of kids that were really pissed off and angry, I'd recognize one of them and I'd met their mom and I'd say, "Hey, how's your mom doing?" And it would just turn the situation around like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny here. About 2 weeks ago, we chased a stolen car down in the Battle Creek neighborhood over here, and they ended up bailing out of the car and getting out on foot. And Pat Scott saw them walking away a couple blocks away, and we were able to stop them, and the suspects, and one of them was a kid from Minneapolis, and I knew his dad.
Oh, really?
And I was able to ask him how his dad was doing, and you know,
it's just a small world sometimes.
Yep. But he was impressed with the fact that I knew his dad, even though, you know.
Yep.
And that I knew where his dad had lived back when he was just a baby. And we talked about it, and and I think it really calmed down. Well, it was kind of a tense situation at first.
Yeah.
And, it's just always good to have those relationships. And part of it is, for me, was getting to know the people in the houses in the area that I worked. So, those houses weren't just like a movie set facade. They were, that's Susie's house or Joe's house. And you get to know the people and you take a little more ownership in your beat, and they get to know you.
Yeah.
And if something happens, they call you.
Yeah.
And, I know, especially in the Eco Village area, we worked hard to keep good people in that neighborhood, keep them from fleeing out when it was really bad. And we kept convincing them, or trying to convince them, that it was going to be different. And eventually it was.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's now back.
Yeah.
Worse than it was before.
Yeah.
But when we had cohesive leadership and, everyone up and down the chain of command was on the same page, we were able to be effective. And, we had community people that supported us.
Yeah.
Including the city council members.
Yeah. We had some pretty good city council members on the north side when we were both at the precinct up there towards the end of my time on the department.
Yeah. And
that what's her name? I'm trying to remember her name. From Hoffman? No. Hofstad went to that gang funeral, remember? There was a girl got shot accidentally, and they had a funeral for him, and unfortunately both gangs showed up to the funeral. Thank God we had cops there, but she went in and it was oblivious to what was going on. We found out guns were going in and out of the church, and we arrested several people, and it just was a cluster. But the next week I was at a meeting with her, and she told me about it, and I said, oh my God, if you want to do that again, let me know. We'll send somebody with you. It's just, it was just a bad situation.
Yeah, and I don't,
she didn't know.
I understand. She didn't know, but she shouldn't have been there in the first place. There was definitely more to that story.
Yeah.
Lily was her street name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I look at Barb Johnson. She would, she held us accountable just as much as we,
As she supported us.
Yeah, she supported us, but, she expected us to do our job. And if there was a problem property, she would call us and say, hey, there's this, house they're selling drugs out of on this block. And we were responsive because we trusted her, and then she trusted us.
Well, it was nice. You could go in a meeting with these council people and speak your mind, and it wouldn't come back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, no. That's changed over there. I mean, I was telling someone the other day, when something would happen in one of those council members' wards, I would call them and say, just so you know, we had a homicide in your ward. Here's what we know, what little we know now, or what we know now, and just so they could be responsive to their constituents, and it convinced them that we knew what we were doing, and we were all on the same team.
Yeah.
And you just don't see that relationship between the elected officials and the police anymore. And it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is.
Yeah.
There's only one police department or sheriff's office, and so we need to get along with everybody.
Right. Yeah. It's about safety. It's not about politics, or at least it should be.
Right. But in a lot of ways now it's become about politics.
Yeah.
So
We were pretty lucky though. There at the, like I said, a couple of years before I retired on the north side, we had such a great group of cops and sergeants and lieutenants up there, and you running it. It was everybody seemed to get it. Not everybody, but just about everybody seemed to get what our mission was and how we were going to get there.
yeah,
That was great.
and that's the way it should be.
Yep.
Just get everybody on the same page and reinforce the mission and the surround yourself with good people,
Mm-hmm.
which I was lucky enough to do.
I felt we had, at that point in time, we probably had the best set of sergeants in the city.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think so.
And that's where it starts. I mean,
yeah. Well, they were all committed, and
Yep.
I remember going into meetings and planning meetings, and I would say, my goal is to reduce violent crime by 20% next year. Oh, you can't do that. You can't. Don't, because if it goes up, then we're going to be held accountable. I said, it's not going to go up because I'm not going to let it.
right.
We are gonna ensure that this is what happens. And, the other inspectors and deputy chiefs, well, you can't do that. They're all afraid
Right.
of sticking their neck out and saying, yes, I'm going to reduce crime.
Right.
They're all too worried about their, the last study they read, that if,
Yeah. How's this going to impact my career?
yeah, how's this going to impact
Instead of
my
how's this
career?
going to impact the citizens that live?
And then you'd have success, and they'd take your plan and go teach about it at some, at PERF, the
Yeah.
Police Executive Research
Yeah,
Forum,
that's
or
true.
IACP, and take credit for it.
Yeah.
And the funny part is they fought you the whole way,
Yep.
and yet they'll take credit for the work that you did, and our people did tremendous work.
There was several of those years that our precinct recovered more guns than the other three precincts put together,
Yeah.
and it was because our guys worked, and they worked hard.
And our cops were handling twice as many priority 1 calls,
Right.
and at the same time doing 3 times as much proactive work. And that's tremendous. That's a tremendous compliment to those officers, and that's why we reduced violent crime by 33% in the 5 years I was there.
Yep.
On the north side. And the complaints went down to almost 0.
Yeah.
And we had good relationships with the community. There weren't advocates marching around protesting against us. And yet,
Spots for 1,700 units. About 329.
it's
And then, basically a shift in the politics of the department just changed that overnight almost.
yeah, absolutely.
It's a crying shame.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you have leaders that don't know what they're talking about and are trying to, make their name on the national stage, and has 50 people to watch or whatever.
Yes.
It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, he had.
Person was over their head as a sergeant, and it hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah.
But that's where we, that's where the police department fell apart.
Yeah.
You got rid of the respected leadership because you were threatened by them.
Right.
And you basically destroyed what was a really good police department and let it get to a point where bad things happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the departments never really. Minneapolis department never really did a good job of mentoring and bringing along leadership.
No.
Never did.
No. And then they would put someone who's handpicked by the chief in charge of mentorship or leadership training. It's somebody that nobody's going to listen to because they didn't respect them.
Right.
That's where Minneapolis was at a great point.
The ComStat program, our Code 4, worked, and if you just continued to work that program, things would have pretty much ran along the way it was. But
yeah. Well, it was running wild then. It's
and it wasn't just you or I that why the department was going well. There was some good people in every position of leadership, just about.
Yeah, but a lot of them were
moved on.
Yeah,
or got demoted.
They moved on.
Got demoted, or
politically demoted. Yeah, I mean, and you no longer had civil service captains that could speak their minds and not get demoted.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
And that was a mistake that the Federation made, giving up that position, and the president at the time, I think, thought he was going to get his own personal reward for that, and that backfired.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's crazy. And now I look over there and I just feel bad for the men and women that are.
I'm glad most of the people
that
I worked with are retired now.
Yeah.
It's scary to think about how few cops there are there. I mean, when I came on, there was like 730 some cops, and that wasn't enough. And when I left, there was almost 900, and that was good. Good place.
Yeah. And now I think it's 5 something.
Yeah, I heard it was. At one time I heard it was under. I heard it was just under 5.
364.
So yeah, it's just you can't successfully police a city that size with those
680.
That few cops. But how are you gonna recruit good cops if you can't? If you don't have leadership they want to follow. And I'm not saying the chief. I mean, I've met the chief. He seems like he gets it. He knows what needs to be done. I'm talking about, the elected officials. I'm talking about whoever's the commissioner of public safety they have now. I mean, it's the inspectors and the mid-level leadership. You have people that are mid-level leaders that never learned how to do proactive police work.
Ain't that the shame? I mean, I always told guys that the calls, when I was an officer, the calls were the price you paid for the fun you had between the calls. You know, finding somebody with dope, or, you know, finding a gun or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the interesting part. Going to the calls, it was needed and necessary, and sometimes it was interesting, but usually not.
Right. And now it's just so dangerous because they're so short-staffed. You don't have the backup you had, and you don't have, you know, are you going to do a traffic stop that, if it goes to crap, requires all the resources at the precinct? It's a different world.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And the people who started on the path of destruction, they're gone.
Yeah, they are.
They're gone because everybody saw through them, but yet they'll, and some of them are still there and shouldn't be. So. Anyway, we're gonna end the live broadcast here because I have a family commitment I gotta get to. I really appreciate Brett coming and riding along with me and helping finish my stories. So, and I will, next Monday, I will not, wait a second, next Monday, I will not be around, but I will find a suitable replacement and make sure that you get a nice ride along. So, thank you. Everyone be safe, be kind to each other, and I will see you later.